continuing from the last lesson, we did work on animating our front muscles, but that did also mess up the position of our thoracic limbs. So we're going to need to work on fixing those, as well as adjusting the major timing and spacing in our gallop. We'll first work on fixing our poses for our thoracic limbs. So let's go ahead and bring back our control curves. And we'll start with the left. We'll select that. Go to our graph editor. Okay, we'll go to Window, Animation Editor's Graph Editor. Bring that up. And what we want to do is go to about the area where our limbs should be furthest extended. So that's going to be about frames 8 and 9 for this left limb. So what we can do is go to the Translate Z, select both of those keys, and go to where the limb should be furthest extended. So that's about frame 9. And we'll go into one of our translate or rotate manipulators just so we can move our keys. Hold Shift and middle mouse button click and drag up to lock our position vertically, and just start moving up the limb a little bit more forward to a point where there's still a slight bend, but it still looks as if it's fully extended. Okay, so here's what we get now. Great, so that's looking much better. Excellent, so once we have done that, we can now bring our attention to our right thoracic limb. We'll select it, select the control for it, and now again, look for where the leg should be furthest extended, and that's going to be from frame 6 to about frame 8. We're going to want the leg to be a little bit more locked. So let's go to about frame 7 where it should be pretty much furthest extended. Okay, and from there go to just the Translate Z to focus on it, select these 3 keys, and work on bringing them up. So again, hold Shift and middle mouse button click and drag up to about the point where the leg has a slight bend but looks locked. To about here. Let's see how that looks as we scrub through. Okay, so that's looking pretty good, but it looks like we could also bring up frame 8, the key on frame 8, a little bit more. So we could just select that key, hold Shift again, and middle mouse button click and drag up to lock our movement vertically. Great, and when we do, notice that looks much better. Excellent. So now that we have this, when we close out our graph editor, our poses have been fixed, and now we need to work on adjusting the timing and spacing of our run so that it's more accurate. So what we want to do here is go ahead and adjust the positions where the horse is in its total suspension. Okay, that's going to be at about frames 2 and 3, these poses here, just before it lands. Now, we don't want to have the hold at which the horse is in its total suspension for too long, given the weight of the horse, but we still want to adjust it so our animation looks correct. So what we'll do is just make sure we drag and move down the keys from where the horse is first held in the air. On frame 2, we'll drag that down about a frame, and we'll also go to the next pose and do the same for it. So let's work on shifting down our keys from frames 2 all the way to 10. So we'll just, with our marker on frame 2, we'll hold Shift and left mouse button click and drag all the way to a little bit past frame 10 so we could get all of these keys in our selection, and just select the middle part where we see the 2 arrows and left mouse button click and drag down once to the right. Great, and once we've done that, excellent, we can now go ahead and drag down our next pose, this time starting from the key on frame 4. So make sure we get that in our selection and even increase our range to the fullest extent so we can see a little bit more clear what we're doing, and drag all the way to a little bit past frame 12 so we can get that in our selection, and again drag down to the right 1 frame. Great. Now if you notice, okay, we do have these overlap keys on frame 13. Well, where is that coming from? Well, that's coming from our right muscle here. That's because we did have a key on frame 12, so when we shifted it down, we added it to frame 13, but we already had a key on frame 13. Well, to fix that, it's going to be really simple. We just need to shift our keys over 1 frame, as we'll see. So let's go back to our graph editor. Okay, and once there, we just want to go to the attributes that we've been animating in. That's the Translate Y and our Rotate X. So we'll select the 2 keys, okay, of where we had our poses. All right, surrounding our 0 position there on frame 13, and we'll just hold Shift and middle mouse button click and drag once to the left. Great. So now we fixed their position, And now watch what happens when we go ahead and just do a play blast to see the adjustments we've made. So we'll go ahead and hide our NURBS curves, okay, making sure our horse here is going to be in shot, not clipped off. Alright, this is going to be a nice position here, and we'll render off another play blast. Again, I'm going to pause the video. And here's the gallop. Now look how much more accurate it looks, how much more realistic our gallop looks by adding those simple fixes to it. And remember, when playing back, doing a play blast, you do want to make sure to knock off the last frame so you can see a seamless cycle of what we have so far. So our animation is looking great right now. What we need to do is spend some attention in our graph editor a little bit more, cleaning up our F-curves, getting rid of keys we don't need, and so on and so forth, so we can get some nice fluid motion out of our limbs and out of what we've already animated. So we're going to spend our attention doing that starting in the next lesson.